my whole thing is like, I don't want to sell you anything. I just want to really understand what's important to you so that we can create a really great plan of success to help you get to that goal. And everybody's a little different. And there's never, like, people say to me all the time, oh, I don't want to bother you. We're not going to be a good sale. Like, that doesn't even exist. It's like, I don't know if this is the right analogy, but it's maintenance. So you have to start somewhere. And I've seen it happen. I've seen people have a really, really hard time looking for a house over the last couple of years because they're so unprepared. That it's like, if you want to lose weight, you have to start somewhere. The weight's not going to fall off tomorrow. You need to start with a plan. You need to get a routine. You need to have some accountability. You need to make sure you understand what you need. And you really need a good strategy for success, or else it's going to feel like a lot of work. And it really should be fun. Looking for a house and selling a house should be fun. It shouldn't be as stressful as I think the world at large is making it out to be.
YUNKJunk!
Hello, Terry Leahy.
Hello, Steph Ellis.
How are you today?
Fantastic. It's a very exciting day.
It's so exciting. Also, I love November. You know why?
Why?
Couple things. It's home to the greatest holiday, Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite holiday. It's also my birthday at the end of the month, which is a very important day. And it is my 10th Philadelphia Marathon that I will be running.
I was going to ask, does this have anything to do with the fact that the marathon is in November?
It is slightly. It's just all those things combined, which is super fun. Anyway, I love November.
So you are running again this year?
Yeah, I'm running again this year. My 10th career marathon, 9th Philly. I did one in Delaware. I'll never do that one again.
Why?
It was the worst. It was like, you know, that like short track in the Wissahickon. It was really, really tight. I don't know. Have you dabbled in the Wissahickon Trail?
I know of it.
All
I
right,
feel like
well,
I walked up to it and then turned around and went back.
It's like a very small one-way piece of, I don't know, gravel.
Yeah.
And we were basically running a marathon on that, and they did not close it. So people were like yelling and biking around us. And I was like, I mean, I feel like they should have told people that this was going on.
You know, I drove through a 4th of July firecracker run in my old hometown in Saratoga Springs. I had no idea. I was so mad that there was a lady in my way, like, you know, with a glow stick thing, being like, go out of their way, go out of the way. And I'm like, I live right there. What are you talking about?
Saratoga Springs.
Saratoga Springs.
I didn't realize that's where you grew up.
It is.
I probably didn't know that. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't volunteer it regularly.
All right, well.
Not that I'm embarrassed of it or anything like that.
A nice place.
Yeah. It's super nice. That's where my first business was started.
Oh, also important, November, Penn State, big game this weekend.
True. True.
Time's that start? Noon?
I think it is a 12 o'clock game. So we both went to Penn State.
Yeah.
Let's talk Penn State a little bit.
Let's talk Penn State.
You were an athlete.
I was.
What does it take to be a Penn State D1, folks, athlete?
Well, you know, what does it take? A little bit of discipline, some good, you know, sneaking in the back door of college.
What does that mean?
Like, let's just say school isn't necessarily my the place where I thrived, but the athletic field was. I played lacrosse. I was the goalie. So I guess you have to be a little crazy to do that, which is fun. And it's comical now because I'm like, oh, I run marathons, but I was the goalie.
Yeah, normally those don't go together.
No,
now I'm
not at
taking
all.
that entirely from my knowledge of the Mighty Ducks movies where Goldberg was the goalie and that kid wasn't running anywhere.
Fair.
If you saw Heavyweights, you know what I'm talking about. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's Judd Apatow's first writing credit, I think.
I have no idea who that is.
He did Knocked Up and Superbad, and actually he produced Superbad, excuse me.
Super bad. I haven't thought about that in a minute. But yeah, Penn State, great times.
way to bring it back. Way to bring it
I
back.
don't know. I was just thinking about it. Canada, it's been forever. Oh my God. I haven't been back. Although one thing that's really cool that Penn State, I guess it's specifically the women's athletics, has started a new program called Teammates for Life, which I recently went to a charity event and I got to see like all these old athletes that I hadn't seen in forever, including a lot of my old teammates. And it's like, it was a good time.
Really?
Yeah. That was 3 weeks ago or something. I saw my old coach. I saw the new coach. I saw a kid who's going to be playing there. I'm like, oh my God, this was so long ago. It was fun.
Were we there at the same time?
I don't know. How old are you? Yeah, I think I'm a year older.
I graduated in 09.
Oh, no. I'm a year. You're a year older.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Normally, I feel so old.
Well, that's why I'm going to guide you through the whole podcast process as we start this new journey.
How am I doing so far?
Pretty good. There hasn't been much dead time, and we have things to talk about.
Yeah, Penn State's the coolest. I should go back. Literally, it's amazing to me how when you get into a room of people you played like college sports with, or you know from college, you're immediately 18 years old again. And I'm like, what are we doing later? Are we going out? Are we getting drunk? People are like, I have a child that needs my care. I'm like,
Are we going to Canyon Pizza? Oh, it's close.
I was like, you guys have $1 on you? Like, we're fine. We're good for the night. You remember that? You could go out with $1 and your swipe. And
I can still go out with $1 and have a great time.
I want to know what. You'd be escorted home to the dorms by like a cop on horse.
You earn cash on the way by doing favors and tricks and well, let's just cut that out.
Interesting, Terry. Oh boy,
you have a great time with a good personality and just being a Penn Stater.
What's happening outside?
I don't know.
It sounded like a toot.
It did. So, Penn State. You were an athlete.
Yep.
Have you ever used that for your career?
Yeah, well, I think that, so it's funny because I've been selling real estate, which I got into my 5th year at Penn State. I took a 5th year. School was never really my thing. I had to work incredibly hard. And, you know, I kind of dabbled with different majors, but I was basically like a biology major. I thought I would go into some variation of medicine, and had a come to Jesus moment with my dad, who is a doctor. And we were like, all right, I don't think this is going to be my future, but what would my future look like? And I knew this. I was always like really, really good at being the group leader for a project and like delegating. And I always knew that I wanted to kind of make up my own rules, out of the box thinker sort of thing. So I thought working for myself was like super appealing. And I got my license my 5th year at Penn State. And I got my license my 5th year at Penn State. So I graduated in 2011. And so I was young, and I'm like selling here in Philadelphia and on the main line at like 23 years old. And people would look at me like, how old are you? And I'm like, how old are you? And I'm like, why does that matter? Like, why does it matter to you? Like, what about my age matters to you? Maybe my experience should matter to you. Maybe like if we're a good fit should matter to you. But then I say to them like, these are all the things that are going to come with working with me. And some of that is like explain to them a little bit of the college athletics. And then once I tell people I'm a goalie, they're like, oh, that makes so much sense. And I'm like, pardon?
So yeah, let's stay on that. I always remember the big thing about Penn State that they said is everybody went there, so your alumni network will be incredible.
Yeah.
Did you ever use it?
No, I should.
Me neither.
Fuck.
I guess right now.
Well, sure, but like we met organically.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm playing with my hair a lot.
Don't apologize to me. Apologize to them.
God, sorry, guys. This is gonna be hilarious. So no, I should, but I think it's like, God, there's so much to do nowadays. So I'm a member of the Fiddler Club. I'm Jewish, so I'm like starting to get more involved in like Jewish Federation. Then there's like a real estate division of that. Then you can be a Penn State athlete, Penn Stater, realtor, runner. I'm like, I'm exhausted. There's so many.
Yeah, but it's great for us because
right.
For podcasts and things like that, and just being able to show off who you are.
Sure.
So people get to know you before they meet you.
Yeah.
Probably a good thing.
I would think so. Go State.
That's true. So have you, other than me, have you done anything in like the seller market or buyer market with Penn Staters?
I'm sure. Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Just organically, happened?
Organically. Yes. Actually, I had a whole stint post-college where I feel like I lived here in Manayunk, where you're like, oh, so-and-so's got like a house, they rent here. And this was, like before Uber. So I'd be like, hey, Dad, you want to like drive me to Manayunk so I can hit the bars? And then, like one person knows another person. And then I've had this really nice like extended group of Penn Staters that I've sold many homes to. Resold those homes, helped them buy newer homes. They've gotten married. Now they have kids. That's the real trip. And I'm like, wow, can't believe you have a child. Like it's a real hard shift from where we started this friendship.
Drinking a maniac.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to be PC, but I'm like, I saw you get naked at the bar. Like,
well, I mean, that is a way to have to attract a mate, I think.
truth. To attract a mate.
I just think about everything scientifically.
Do you?
Not at all.
Okay. What else?
Lots. So, you mentioned running.
Yeah, running.
Let's talk about running a bit. What's the running community like in Philadelphia?
The running community in Philly is crazy. There are so many run clubs. There are so many ways to participate in running. The best thing about running is literally you need one thing. Well, maybe two things. Shoes and like a good attitude-ish. To just say, I'm going to go do this, knowing that you can fully stop at any time. And that's literally how I got into running. Someone was like, hey, you're athletic. Like, maybe you should. And I really wanted to meet some people. I was in my like late 20s, like 26, 27, was kind of feeling a little stuck socially. I had this like identity as a college athlete. And I'm like, I'm bored. I'm restless. And I was like, I'm also not going to ever get back in the goal to play lacrosse. Side note, I do have this dream of trying out for the U.S. women's lacrosse team because it's going to be an Olympic sport. And I feel like that would be hilarious if I did that at the age of like potentially 40, but
There's
I digress.
your field shoot. There's your monthly field shoot.
So I'm like, all right, I'll try running. And then I did it and it was cool. And I made some friends. And then someone said, you should try a half marathon. I was like, what's a half marathon? And they were like, well, it's just like 3 more miles than Broad Street. It was like, what's Broad Street? And so my first race was Broad Street. That was pretty cool. I ran 10 miles and I thought I was a superhero. I was like, I just ran 10 miles. I am so cool. And then I was like, this is actually pretty great. So then I tried a half marathon. And my friend was like, Beth is her name. She encouraged me. She's like, you could just like try a marathon. I'm like, well, that feels hard. She's like, I mean, you could just try. You can always stop. And I've like never stopped saying that to myself. Like, you could just try. And I kind of use that for like other things in my life. Like, I've never done a podcast, but I'm going to try it. Mm-hmm. It could really suck. Whatever. And so the running thing has been pretty cool. The running community is incredible. I'm an early runner, so sometimes it's limited.
What does that mean?
Like,
I'm an early
I run
runner.
solo. Like, I run early in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a rule: no running alone in the dark. I always need a pack of people with me, or 1 or 2 people. And it's really fun, and I'm addicted to it, and I love it so much. And tomorrow I'm gonna run 20 miles.
What time is early?
Like departing from my house between 5:15 and 5:30 a.m.
Okay, that's pretty good. What time you wake up?
For those runs, 4:50.
4:50.
But that's not like consistent. It's usually like this time of the year when it's like dark early. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I meet my girl Natalie Mitchell at the gym at the Fitler Club. We train 6:30 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Mm-hmm. She's also a runner. That's
walk me through training. A lot of people, because you just said you can just get out and run, but I'm assuming there comes a point where you need to have a system in place.
Totally. So I have a run coach. After I bombed my first like 3 marathons, specifically like the pain that I was in was like, wow, I just like didn't know it would hurt that bad. Mm-hmm. Like, oh yeah, I'm in shape. Like, I followed some random ass plan, but I have a crazy schedule, and there really is like a system to it. And it's not just about running. It's about the nutrition. It's about fueling. It's about the shoes and what works for you. And also like cross training, strength training. So I have a coach. She's awesome. She's like an actual human rainbow. She's the nicest person. I met her through a mutual friend. I met her actually the night before I was running the 2019 Philly Marathon, where it was about to sleet on me for like 26.2 miles. And I was a nervous wreck. And I was like, oh my God, you're so nice. And I was panicking. And she's like, I think you should wear this. I think you should wear this. And she followed up with me the next day, like for the race. I was like, I don't know what to wear, because you could be hot, you could be cold, it could be icy, it could be this. I was like, oh, I'm panicking. I don't know what to wear. And she's done like 400 Boston marathons. So she's like, got it in a bag. And she tracked me the next day. This is like a girl I just met. And I was like, wow, she's so nice and so pretty and so cool. I'm like, I want to be friends with her. And then she randomly like messaged me on Instagram. I was like, hey, I have a random like real estate question. I was like, what you got, girl? Like, I'll help you anytime.
I mean, literally?
Literally.
Literally what you got, girl?
No.
Oh.
I was like, sure. How can I help? I'm professional. Even though you saw me almost have a full-on meltdown about like running this marathon and my clothing. And so she asked me to do some real estate stuff. And I was like, well, I can like, if you need help selling your house, I'm like, obviously I can help you do that. And she was like, no. Like, I don't think it's an area you work in. I was like, just tell me what you need. I will make it happen. And then I sold her house. I listed her house here in Philly. Then she met her boyfriend, who's now her husband. And they met dog walking, which was hilarious. They both had dogs.
That's
and
so cute.
It was very cute. She moved in with him. And then I helped them find a house together. And then I sold his house. And throughout that process, we all became really good friends, which is like super cool. I'm very fortunate to be able to call a lot of my clients friends.
Yeah.
And I try to support my friends, clients, whatever, the way that they've supported me. And she was like, hey, if you ever need help with running, I was like, yes. She couldn't even finish a sentence. I was like, will you be my coach? And she has put together some awesome plans for me that have kept me injury free, really healthy, supplementing nutrition. And it's like, it's a process. I mean, this will be my 10th one and I still feel like I'm learning about it, which is also very cool to me.
What is your advice for a first-time marathon runner in Philadelphia?
You just got to have fun. You just have to have fun. Like if it's your first marathon period, is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
If it's your first marathon, I am so envious of this because think about how rare it is to have a new experience at something. And just how cool that whole thing is. Like, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what it's going to feel like yet. And you're also like, the marathon itself is just a celebration of all of your training. Like all the things you said no to, all the times you got up early, all the times you did all the shit you didn't feel like doing, everything. I mean, it's really not about like winning, obviously. Like very few people win. It's just getting through it and having this experience. And it's so cool. I mean, it's just to have fun. Try not to listen to music, I think, because the crowds are really cool. And I don't listen to music when I'm running. Well, when I'm running a marathon. What? I mean, all right, time out. I listen when I'm really like starting to hate everything about what's happening, like maybe mile 18, when you're like, fuck, I have so much further to go. And you enter what's called the pain cave.
Oh boy.
I've gotten very comfortable with this area. But sometimes you see like a couple good hype songs, but then you're good. And then you're like listening to people. But the coolest thing, I think, of any race is like the patter of people's feet. I'm like, wow, we're all doing this together. This is crazy. It's so cool.
See, that sounds like something that you would like, instead of white noise when you sleep, you put that on, just like feet hitting.
It's kind of cool. I mean, it's mesmerizing. It's therapeutic. And it is really cool for the first couple of miles for sure. But the Philly Marathon is electric. And this year it's sold out, which is mind blowing to me because they used to have the half and the full on the same day because neither of them would sell out. And I'd always be really jealous of the people that were like, all right, peace. And I remember one year my brother was watching me and waiting for me, like the half marathon comes right in front of the art museum and people basically like peel off and they end. And then us crazy people keep going. My brother literally is waving to me. He's like, I think you're winning. I'm going to go get some groceries. I'll be back by the time you finish. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to go grocery shopping and like take a nap. And I'm still going to be running. I was like, oh God, this was like, it was like so demoralizing. Anyway, he was there at the end. He was like, I had a really nice time grocery shopping. How was the rest of your run?
Did he have bags?
No, but he took them home because he had time. I was like, that's right. That like you forget, like I'm going to go run for almost 4 hours. You could do so many activities in 4 hours.
It's true.
Yep. Like grocery shopping. Anyway.
I mean, that is an incredible thing. And what day is it?
The 24th. So it's super great because it's the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So it's like you do this marathon. Everyone's like dicking around because everyone's in holiday mode. And it's basically like a celebration that week, I feel. It's like marathon week and you're a week out from Thanksgiving and everyone's in chill mode. And then the next week, I feel like you get that week to recover. Unless you're selling real estate, because let me tell you, people have time off. And if you need to buy a house or sell a house, you're definitely calling me. And I have shown many, many homes over holidays. So I don't know if that'll be the case this year. I'm obviously happy to help if anybody needs anything. But maybe don't call me after the marathon.
As in like immediately after?
Yeah, like maybe give me a couple hours.
What will you be doing immediately after the marathon?
Immediately after the marathon, there's usually this like panic sets in on how the fuck to get out of there because they really bear it. And it's like, it's secure. And every year I do the Philly Marathon. This is not a knock at the whole setup because it's actually like really, really well executed. But you're so tired and delirious and you're like, how do I get out of here? I just want to like sit down. They don't let you sit down. Like one year I sat down at the finish line and like somebody in it was like a Marine came up to me. There was like all this security. Someone was like, ma'am, you need to get up. I was like, I just ran a marathon. I cannot stand up. And he was like, do you need us to call an ambulance? I was like, settle down. Like I'll be fine.
So it's funny. I have been in that situation because if you're at the finish line filming or shooting photos, anyone who stops just wrecked the photo for the person behind you.
Yes.
So that's a big thing of like, get out of the way. So me and a bunch of photographers have definitely yelled at marathon folk to keep it moving after they just ran a marathon.
I'm going to duke it out with you. Also, it would be hilarious to show people all of my amazing marathon photos. There's some real winners in there.
Where are they?
Somewhere.
Are they on your Facebook?
Marathon photo finish. Like, you know, I have them somewhere.
We'll see them. We'll have to look at them. Honestly, you know what'd be great is when you bring your running coach on. Yeah. To have both of you bring a series of marathon photos.
And make fun of each other.
You got it. You got it. And just show the world.
You know, here's a common question I get asked. People are like, have you ever peed your pants? No, I've never peed my pants. These whole things about like people saying to me like, oh, you know, I hear those runners, like they've got major accidents. Like I've only seen one. And I was like, this girl should just give up and go home because it was like a little much. But no, if you're in good enough shape, that does not happen.
Like it was too much fluid?
She pooed her pants.
Oh, boy.
And you could see it.
Oh.
And I was like, that can't be comfortable. It was very early on. And I was like, that cannot be comfortable. Is this inappropriate to talk about pooping?
No. I saw Dylan's hand move immediately of like, that's a good short. That'll get hits.
All right.
And it will. It will.
Well, no bathroom talk on my podcast.
So you said random ass earlier. And
random ass?
And I was thinking Steph Ellis's random ass podcast is not a bad name.
My siblings were like, what's your podcast going to be called? I was like, I don't know. Thoughts inside my head.
That's good. Thoughts inside
my
head.
They were like, oh my God.
So do you want to be a with, like thoughts inside my head with Steph Ellis?
I don't know. I think maybe we should let all of my 3 followers pick.
Yes. You just start out with a contest.
You, Dylan, and one other person. I don't know who it
exactly.
is. But...
Me, Dylan, and well, your family is going to watch for sure.
Marge, the family dog. Mm-hmm. She has a say. And Max, my nephew, he's the coolest, so we'll let him pick.
I'll tell you what, that brings up 2 questions that are related to your career.
Tell me.
How does one go about finding a home that allows dogs? And how do you sell a house where dogs have kind of ruined a lot of it?
Ooh. Well, owning a house with a dog is easy because you own it, which is great. Like that's one thing about home ownership versus like owning a condo, not to be confused with an apartment. An apartment is a place you rent. A condo is a place you own. And there are restrictions in condos that might eliminate certain things like pets of a certain size or how many pets you can have or breed of pet. So that just depends. But if you're looking for like a single family home, nobody can tell you you can't have a dog in the place that you own. So that's pretty easy. When it comes to selling a house that has had evidence of a pet living there, there are a handful of things you can do. I will say it's always really challenging when I represent sellers that have animals in the house and you're like trying to coordinate showings and stuff. Let me tell you, Steph Ellis here, I am not like selling sunset. Like I have picked up a lot of dog shit. I've taken a lot of dogs for walks. I've done a lot of things to make sure that people can get into a house safely. Maybe people are allergic. Maybe people don't like dogs. I don't know. But once you accumulate that house that has had a remnants of a pet living there, I went through the ringer this year with someone who, it was brutal. And I actually randomly saw the buyers who bought this property that I was listing. I was representing a seller on with the dog, big German Shepherd. This German Shepherd had like food, this like wet food. I think he must have eaten it all over the house. It was everywhere. There was definitely some cats that like just disregarded the litter box. It was like a whole thing. Anywho, I said, hey, how's the house? Like, how'd it go? And they're like, this ozone thing. I'm like, what? They had this ozone thing that eliminates all odors. I'm like, my mind is blown. But apparently it's like dangerous for humans. You can't be there. Sounds like you know about this.
I ran one for a couple months. I had a renter who was a smoker and smoked inside of his bedroom. And so I had to get an ozone machine running for a long time. It did knock the smell out, which is terrific.
It did? Because that shit's like in the walls.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard to get rid of, but I ran it consistently for probably a month and a half. And what you have to do is you run it, and then you have to go and you got to hold your breath, go in, turn the machine off, open a window, get out, shut the door, and then you can breathe again.
Why?
To kind of just protect your lungs from the ozone machine.
What will it do to your lungs?
Not good stuff. I'm the kind of person
Dylan,
where I call a buddy.
Google.
You got it. What happens to your lungs if you breathe in an ozone machine? But I got one off of Amazon, and it's still up there running, and that place now has a renter, which is fabulous.
Okay, so speaking of smells in houses,
yeah,
I can't reveal any property addresses because confidentiality, but okay, so I'm like, I have these clients, they're lovely people. We're getting the house right. Everything's looking really good. We have a stager in there. We've got like the house is dialed in. We're ready to rock and roll. I've been there a handful of times throughout like, I don't know, over a 2-week period. I'm like, it smells like old house. No problem. People weren't living there. Fine. My stager goes in and is like, so it smells really bad in here. And it was so bad that one of my guys like puked on the front yard. I was like, well, tell your guy to sally up because I was there and it's not that big of a deal.
You're such an athlete.
Ugh. And then I was like, cry me a river, finish the job, call me when you're out. I'm going to go take a look. And I walked in, it was bad, but like, I don't know, maybe I just have a higher tolerance for interesting smells.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go back like 2 days later and it is like ungodly bad. And I call my seller. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, but like, we cannot list your house tomorrow. Like, it smells like something or someone has died in here and you need to figure it out. He was really upset. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, I feel so bad for these people. Like, I really worry about all of my clients. Like, this is a huge thing and they're really looking to me to guide them and give them good advice. And it would have been horrible advice to tell them like, let it rip, you know, like, let's just put it on the market and start showing this house that may or may not have some crazy situation going on. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, I'm going to come into town and take a look at the house. And he texts me and he's like, I found the smell. I was like, what was it? He goes, well, the ice chest, my cleaners had by accidentally unplugged the ice chest in the basement. Guess what was in it? I was like, I don't want to know. He's like, 3 turkeys and 4 pounds of shrimp.
Wow.
He goes, I carried it out of the house. There were maggots everywhere. He's like, I almost passed out and threw up. I'm like, well, where is it now? He's like, in the trash can in the front of the house. I'm like, move that shit. Get it out of here. Like, what are you thinking? He's like, well, who do I call? I'm like, I don't know. Like, who do I call? People ask me all sorts of things like, hey, do you know who I can use for this? Do you have a handyman? I'm like, listen, I don't know who's going to take your carcasses, but you better figure it out. Like, and I had this lovely, lovely man come to the property. I was panicking, named John. He's like an air quality specialist. And he is a gentleman and it's a family run business. And I'm like, John, I call him, I'm like, you don't know me, but I was referred to you. I'm going to need you to come to this house like ASAP. He's like, okay. And I tell him the situation. He goes, well, I'm sure I could figure it out. He goes, one of the harder jobs I did, one of the harder jobs he did was a fraternity in Pennsylvania that had partied hard at the end of like the year. They had like a big cookout, right? With like meat and beer and liquor and everything. And he goes, and then they all just left. And they just left. Uncooked meat, cooked meat, several kegs inside a house with no one living in it for the entire summer. He's like, and that turned out okay. I was like, sir, you have an interesting business, and I find you to be fascinating and wildly helpful. And he was like, so once we got it out, it was totally fine. But that's my story about smells. I have a few more, but I'll spare you.
Oh, no, we'll go into them. Maybe not on this episode, but we should have a segment called Steph Smells. What are the smells that Steph has smelled?
That wild?
Ozone machine. Whether in its pure form or mixed with other chemicals, ozone can be harmful to health. When inhaled, ozone can damage the lungs.
Really?
Relatively low amounts of ozone can cause chest pain, coughing, shortness of breath, and throat irritation.
Yeah, but like, what does it do? Fuck up your aeolas?
Does it fuck up your aeolas?
I don't know. Was that part of your nipple? Did I say it right? I don't remember.
I think you're talking about an areola.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that's wrong.
But I think you mean aorta, which is in the heart.
Like the little villi in your lungs. I don't know. We could Google this later.
Why? We're here right now.
We have the American Lung Association
yes.
with the video.
But people can see this too.
Oh my God, this is hilarious. Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess it just damages your lungs because of whatever's in it.
Longer than 8 hours can give you increased respiratory illnesses, metabolic disorders, nervous system issues, reproductive issues,
hot topic,
and villi issues.
Villi.
It doesn't say villi issues. I just thought it'd be funny. Okay, so you are what? Let's talk about who you are and your career.
My career. So you want me to just run with that?
Well, the purpose is to we want to make sure, basically, I have this belief that, consistency is everything when it comes to anything you're doing, including, podcasting and whatnot. So people will be coming to visit to learn more about you, but I also want to pepper in the fact that you're more than just the personality, but you actually
you think of my personality?
Have something to sell and something to do. So, real estate is there's a lot of different elements of real estate. Which ones are you involved in? Which ones are you focused on?
So specifically, I help people buy and sell and on the occasion rent. So specifically residential. So if you have someone that's like, I think I need a house or a condo, that is totally up my alley. If it's a commercial property, I have some great resources for that. I don't really dabble in commercial. I believe in going really, really deep and intense with the things that I'm really good at. And I like to stay very much in my lane. So happy to help in anything that is residential, some residential development. I consult with developers. Maybe they want to know what the hot neighborhoods are. I can procure some data for that. And they've also used me in a facet of like designing properties, like layouts, what do people like, stuff like that, on the development side. And I have a lot of experience after 13 and change years, really understanding three facets of the business rather. Buyers, how to represent a buyer, which any real estate agent that's licensed in Pennsylvania can do. You don't need two separate designations. So it's a buyer, a seller, and some sellers also might have a new construction product. So that's a little bit of a different type of sale. Maybe you're buying something that hasn't even been built yet. Maybe it's not the standard Pennsylvania contracts. And then if somebody is in need of a property, whether it's a purchase or a sale outside of the state, I also have really good recommendations for that too. But I'm only licensed in Pennsylvania and I will always stay that way. I don't have any interest in getting licensed in Jersey or Florida or Delaware. I like to very much stay in my lane, and I've aligned myself with people who are really, really good in those markets.
It also, I think one of your superpowers might be your knowledge of the main line.
Correct. So I grew up on the main line. It's like home to me. It's very natural. I know all like the nuances. And I'm really, really in tune to that market. I track the market like weekly, if not daily. And I do this organically because I'm boots on the ground. I'm meeting with buyers, I'm meeting with sellers, I'm seeing the product, I'm talking to other professionals, other real estate agents, and I'm keeping track of what the market looks like, what conversations people are having, what I think about the future, where you're going to get the most return, maybe what's coming up, what's developing, what rules, ordinances are changing. I mean, there's a lot to really know. As an agent, and I think any agent that's licensed can sell you anything, but are they going to actually give you value, or are they going to really help you get to your goal? My whole thing is like, I don't want to sell you anything. I just want to really understand what's important to you so that we can create a really great plan of success to help you get to that goal. And everybody's a little different. And there's never, like, people say to me all the time, oh, I don't want to bother you. We're not going to be a good sale. Like, that doesn't even exist. It's like, I don't know if this is the right analogy, but it's maintenance. So you have to start somewhere. And I've seen it happen. I've seen people have a really, really hard time looking for a house over the last couple of years because they're so unprepared. That it's like, if you want to lose weight, you have to start somewhere. The weight's not going to fall off tomorrow. You need to start with a plan. You need to get a routine. You need to have some accountability. You need to make sure you understand what you need. And you really need a good strategy for success, or else it's going to feel like a lot of work. And it really should be fun. Looking for a house and selling a house should be fun. It shouldn't be as stressful as I think the world at large is making it out to be.
How long should it take? Well, actually, I'll give you a story. So, I bought my house from you.
Yes.
And at the time, it was when the rates were at like all-time low.
You got like a 2.873. Yeah.
But you pretty much said, I remember we went and looked at a house. And also, by the way, that house wasn't even on our list. You just found it outside of what I said I wanted to see, which was a weird little crooked house on a crooked lane.
I was like, really?
Strange.
This one? No.
But you had this other one that you knew about, but I guess wasn't on the market or anything.
Not yet.
But you had said when we walked in and finished touring, you got to buy it right now. You didn't say you got to buy it, but you did say, let's, think about this. If you want this, you have to put in an offer right now or it's going to be gone. Are we still in that world?
Yes. In some areas, yes. And I would say it's really very specific. Real estate is hyperlocal. And I would even go as far as saying it's really property specific. So let's talk about two different markets. Sure. The mainline market, incredibly different than the city market. And we're only 20 minutes apart, 10 miles apart, which is crazy. Then you could even take the mainline market and separate that out. Lower Merion School District, Radnor School District, Tredyffrin, Easttown, Haverford. They're all different and they all have different nuances. And on the main line, at large, between 0 and like 4 million, this is kind of the rundown. If you're 0 to like 3 million, we have less than 1 month of inventory on the market. So what does that mean? It would literally only take 1 month for every single house to sell in that price range. You know how many people are out there looking? A lot.
Why? Because
we've been consistently undersupplied by roughly 1 million homes since 2008. All these builders went belly up. And we, the millennial demographic, are the biggest. We are the biggest population, and we're all of household formation age, which is like, when you couple up and start having a child or whatever, and you decide you want to buy a house, and we're all fighting for each other. There was actually this very fighting with each other. There was a very interesting article in the New York Times. This is not a plug for the New York Times. I just thought the analogy they used was interesting. And it talks about anybody who turned 33 or 34 in 2024 feels as if they are trying to squeeze into a small sweater when really it should be a large. There's so much competition for everything that phase of life is going through. Jobs, houses, living situations of all forms. I think they even maybe touched on like romantic stuff, like, dating apps and all that stuff, and how that generation, and I feel this too, being 37, I'm not that far off. There's that intensity for that, and housing flows right into that. You are competing with two people, someone like yourself that's making the same income, that has the same savings, that went through the same stuff, and downsizers. We have these downsizers, or people who are right size and they're like, I don't need a 5,000 square foot house anymore. And maybe a 3-bedroom house would be nice. And they're the ones that are showing up with total cash because they've planned and they've done what they need to do. And now maybe they're retired. And I'm like, interesting. So a lot of people, there's so much bad information out there. And I think that's why it's so important to work with an agent that is tracking the market and really is hearing your needs and goals, because you're going to find that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for 10 years or more. Like we cannot build the amount of housing that is needed to solve our problem.
So is there a war for starter homes because of the downsizers? I've never heard this, but that makes perfect sense.
We're in a housing crisis. Total housing crisis.
Crisis alert.
We're also in an insurance crisis that like maybe those guys will talk about, but my fictitious
There's another show on the set over here.
My fictitious friends, but And I don't say this to scare people. I say this to educate people, because at the end of the day, I say this, like, all right, tell me, like, paint me your goal, right? Like, when you get into the house that you want, that house looks like what? Okay, great. So I have this conversation frequently with people. Maybe we've been looking for 6 months. Maybe we've been looking for a year. Maybe we've been looking for 2 years. That's okay. But I want to make sure that at each moment in that process that we're enduring is that I'm checking in with them and saying, hey, is the goal still to live in Radnor? If so, how long do you want to continue to look before maybe you open up your parameters here, here, and here? And I'm going to go through and explain to people, you're going to have a higher probability of finding the house you want in maybe this area or this area. But if that's not your goal, that's fine. But I also want to make sure that I'm not missing a step in between, right? Do you need a new rental? Do we maybe need to think about something else? Is there something that I'm not clear on? And so that they know that they need to expect that to be the plan. If you want to live in Radnor, Lower Merion, Haverford, or whatever, and you're looking for a very specific house, it might take some time. Now, I, as an agent, have successfully been able to get my clients into about 15 to 20% more of the market than anyone else, because of some of the connections that I have, some of the relationships that I've made just being in the business. You know, like I am boots on the ground. I have an organic sphere, like my ice hockey coach, my lacrosse coach. Hey, you know, so-and-so, like that's great for my clients. And then on the flip side, for my sellers, you know, I say to them, listen, like if you are really considering selling, you know, it's emotional. There's a lot to unpack there. Maybe they've made memories and memories and memories there, or maybe they don't know where they're going. That can be really stressful as well. And when we finally get to the point where we're on the market, and I said, let's talk about a really great offer for you. What would that look like? Because people get like really crazy and excited when there's multiple offers and this, that, and the other. And I always ask them this. If I've got offers in front of them and I say, do these get you to your goal? And if not, let's negotiate them. Let's see what we can make work here. And I think a lot of the rhetoric around real estate is like, sell, buy, whatever, like we're doom and gloom. Like, no, look, like everybody needs to buy and sell. People get married, they get divorced, they have kids, people pass away, people can no longer keep up with whatever the house needs. And that's all good. That's okay. It's about creating the right plan for everyone and making sure you have a good Sherpa to navigate you through that. Does that answer your question?
It does answer the question.
Great. Now in Philly, it's it's the same thing. It's the same. It doesn't matter. You can interchange the plan that I have with anything, but I would say like the strategies are a little different depending on the time of year, your goals, and the market you're in with the house you have. So if you need to do work, let's make sure we got a plan and give yourself a lot of runway. If we, aren't sure where we're going, let's make sure that we're making a plan to make sure that you're not homeless, obviously, because you can't live with me. And in the city specifically, like really great homes being good condition, priced at market value with something extra. Like people are typically looking for, as a buyer, they're looking for a couple of things. Size, this is how they're searching. Size, price, location, benefits and features. So maybe like parking or a pool, or if maybe somebody needs an elevator or something like that. What did I say? Size, price, location, benefits and features. I don't know. There's one other one, I think. Or like you're gonna miss it. And a lot of my sellers say, well, let's just try this price and see what happens. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but anecdotally, like the entire process of buying a house has changed. Like the consumer has been educated now, like in unison, to understand that when you go look at homes, you basically have to pick one that weekend because they're gone. And there is none of this like negotiating. So a buyer, my buyers say this to me all the time, like, hey, like, I don't think we're going to skip this event because we don't want to pay that number. They're not even going to come look at your house. And people are really making decisions based off of like their lives. Like, I say to everyone, like, hey, you're probably going to be at a wedding and the perfect house is going to come up. Like, are you going to fly back early and see a house? Or are you going to count on me to do it? Or are we going to skip it and just say like, it is what it is? Yeah, this shit happens. I don't know. I have so many things I could talk about real estate.
Good. That's the point of the show.
Parched. Hold, please. My water's right here. Ow. I'm sore.
Just keep rolling on this. Well, ultimately, we wanted to kind of give people a glimpse behind the curtain of who you really are, who they're going to be interacting with when they're doing business with you, but also we just want people to get used to
Me.
your vibe and you.
My vibe.
So we're going to talk about a lot of different things on this show. You're going to have guests on, remote and local. There's already people who want to be on it, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're not going to be limited, but I can say, from my interactions with you, we're definitely going to be talking about running.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Penn State. We'll talk about the main line. And we didn't get to it today, but we will also talk about celiac and gluten-free options. The best gluten-free options.
The best.
We will get to all of that and more. And I'm looking forward to see what you do with this. But before we wrap up, I would like you to tell the people how they can get in touch with you if this has inspired them to want to chat with you.
On my YouTube, like this will all be easy to follow. Mm-hmm. Okay. If you want to get in touch with me, probably the best way is to follow me on Instagram so you can stay on top of my content at Steph Ellis Realtor. You can call me or text me at 610-316-4798. Or you can send me an email to Stephanie, STEPHANIE, .ellis@compass.com.
That'll do it for today. Thank you so much to, well, she's not my guest. She's the host of the show. We're just still defining what it is.
Great to be here.
On my show.
On my own show.
Comment below what you want the name of the show to be.
Comment below. Yeah, right. Oh my God.
We'll see you next time.
YUNKJunk!